Are you tired of everything in your life being a subscription? Tired of being spied on? Feeling like you say something about water slides and then you get 500 water slide ads? Kind of weird, right? Kind of weird that that's just the way things are. HexBox, let's take back tech. Buy this one little box and you're starting your journey to taking back tech. You will have a server in your house and you can start hosting services on here that normally you would require a faraway data center to enjoy. I'm talking about stuff like email servers, file servers, so your Google Drive, your OneDrive. You can start to do that on here in the future. Maybe some kind of chat, messaging between friends, sharing files with friends. The possibilities are endless. The point is, let's open up self-hosting to the whole world so that the maximum number of people can enjoy sovereignty over their tech choices. That's this week's pitch. In other news, we've continued development of the HexBox. We have scheduled backups working. That should be crossed out. Samba, this allows you to mount as a network drive your files. And starting to work on UI from config. This allows you as the owner of the HexBox to tweak the views that you see if you would like. And eventually I want to get to the point where you can select a folder from your Google Drive instead of having to remember the name exactly and type it in perfectly. Once we have better user interface, I think things will really start moving faster. And then you're free to take a look at the rest of my notes from this week. As a reminder, our goal is a server in every home and a fab in every basement. So with that, let's get into a quick demo of everything that happened, and then we'll go step by step through the week as I was recording little clips as I went. So let's get into it. There's nothing like waking up in the morning and seeing that your computer did work for you overnight. So you can see for the past few days here on my HexBox 2, which is set up just like anyone else's would be on my home network, I have daily backups running at 5 a.m. The only problem is they're showing up as 10 a.m. because it's on UTC or GMT, whatever, +0 time zone, Great Britain time zone. So we need an onboarding step for these things to set them up with the proper time zone, but that can come later. The point is that it's backing up my same Google Drive folder with the same 3 files every day. So I have them safekeeping here locally, and I can access them quite easily just by going to HexBox local/backups. And this backups folder is mapped on my device. And as you're about to see in the dev logs, I achieved that by hosting the directory with Samba, and I also installed Samba using this hex mod Samba, and then the backup was scheduled using the backup scheduler graph. Of course, these are terrible UIs. They have little pop-ups that are helpful and all, but that's that. And sneak peek, this is what the view looks like so far. I need to hook this up to actually run something, and then we'll be cooking with gas. The last thing I'll say is that we have 3 apps for the HexBox: Samba, Backup, and System, and they all follow this format of hexmod being the prefix. So if you go onto the PageKey GitHub, you can check for anything with hexmod, and you'll know that it's something that you can load into your HexBox and run as an app. And if we click into it a little bit, you can see it's really pretty straightforward Python scripts running things to install Samba and change config files and all these little things that you have to know if you're self-hosting. It's encoding that logic, so if you want to inspect it, you can, but if you don't care, then just click the shiny buttons and you're good to go. Hello. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn the audio on for a couple of these, so as I emphatically move my mouse in silence on these clips, I'll just talk over them and tell you what I'm doing. So I'm talking about the schedule.py here, which is the scheduler, and grabbing all the inputs required to make the scheduling happen. And now I'm looking at tests for some reason or another. Oh, yep, there's the echo function. Okay, I remember now. The params are being passed in, which is a data class. As you can see, it has inputs inside of it and workspace. The problem was figured out that workspace needed to be passed in so that the functions could access it. In order to provide that scheduling functionality, it needed to know where the workspace was. So I'm just showing off the code and how it was updated. And as you can see here, the provider loader kind of bootstraps on the params and the workspace. So it injects both into the function call. It's a little lambda. And when the DAG engine calls it, it doesn't need to know about the workspace. And the DAG engine didn't know about the workspace already. And it had, as you can see at the top here, it injected these objects, which made it very testable. Graph loader, provider loader, those things handled all file system operations, and DAG did not have to worry about it. So instead of dirtying things up by injecting the workspace into the DAG function, this little Lambda wrapper was a very elegant solution. I can't really take credit for that. I'm saying, look, you can add more fields to params later, which perhaps we will, but it won't break the existing code. Just kind of how everything broke when I changed to params, because everyone was expecting an input stick. Now there's this params object that if in later versions there's more fields, then, no big deal. I'm also emphatically moving my mouse in silence, but I'm basically saying, yo, guys, check this out. I just backed this folder up. Dude, how cool is this? Unfortunately, it is in config.dst folder, which doesn't make any sense, but look, it backed it up. I think that's all I'm saying. Yep, that's it. All right, let's simulate the voiceover here. Oh, oops, I didn't mean to say config. I meant to say root dot because I'm using the input of the graph, blah, blah. Okay, now this is the whole kit and caboodle. We're going to go through the whole process. All right, so we're going to click beep, beep, boop, bop. We got our OAuth screen. We have a cool new place to copy the code from at tryhexbox.com. And that's it. Yep, we got the top two done here. Going to work on UI stuff next and start thinking about security and self-dot. But found a lot of things wrong too that I can fix now. So making progress. All right, thank goodness this one has sound. So back to your regularly scheduled programming. Check it out. This is loaded from my HexBox over Samba. So I'm able to load files over the network. On Windows, super easy. Just go to hexbox2.local/backups. That's the folder that I just set up with this new Samba module. By the way, I set up a new way of name prefixing these modules. So it's hexbox dash whatever. So we have two at this time, or we have three. We have hexbox system, we have hexbox Samba, and we have hexbox backup. So we've got three modules. The ecosystem is growing, and we have working Samba, we have working backups. That's two objectives for the week already knocked out. So let's keep pushing. Quick update. I have this YAML file here defining a view, and my dashboard lists that view and has the hello from Xbox label and a button that says run graph that does nothing. And if I add twos to all these things in the YAML file in the module, save it, refresh the page, you can see that it updated. So we have a config driven UI. Next step is definitely getting the graph to run on click and then figuring out how to display some outputs of that graph somehow. Just updated the whole thing here to use the refresh token when it schedules a backup. So I modified the scheduler here to grab the client ID and secret and the refresh token rather than just an access token, because that one only lives for 1 hour. So we grab the refresh token and that all gets stored in the cron job. Then when the cron job runs, it has the client ID, secret, and refresh token passed in. Modified the graph here to right here is where it runs get access token, and then the rest of the steps function exactly the same. So that refresh token allows you to get as many access tokens as you need. The access tokens expire after an hour, the refresh token does not. So with this tweak, things should start working again. The person trying this out, it was failing for them, and I tried it on mine. It failed for me as well. I just tried this on mine now, and it seems to work now. Now, this obviously begs the question, how do we manage secrets? These environment variables are only available to the UI, and injecting them into the cron makes it very easy for people to see them. If they just run cron tab-l, they will see all these things in plain text. So I'm going to have to do a little research on how secret management could work and come up with a convenient but safe solution and see where that goes. But for now, at least it's functional and we can work out the security details with time. Okay, with those updates that I made yesterday, the backup from this morning appears to have worked. Of course, the time zone's off, but we'll get to that. So that's very exciting. The refresh token worked. Now we'll have to see if this works again tomorrow, which would indicate that the refresh token is good indefinitely. Or do we need to be resaving that refresh token every time? Time will tell. Also starting to think about secrets management, because we don't want to be storing these where people can find them. So good progress for a Monday morning. Okay, so not the best transition, but next we're going to get into user testing. So trying this out with a person in real life. Go update and then execute that boy. And we're going to give it 30 seconds. Go ahead and refresh. It's on its way. I might need to refresh again. Go to the modules tab and go ahead and pull both of those guys. You should see that date change.
Do what now?
Hit the pull button.
Oh.
5/8, there you go. And now change it again. 5.8. Okay, you got the latest for both. And now you're gonna add a module. Top right, go ahead and add it. Okay, you got a third module. So that would be hexmodbackup.schedule in the top right. And yeah, go ahead and run that boy. Oops.
What am I doing?
Click here.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Back me up, I think it is. Backups, probably. Okay, now set that to something 2 minutes from now. So just call that 1620. You need a colon there. Okay, all set. And we'll wait 2 minutes. Run the Samba install there. Okay, run it. Ultra secure password. That might take a minute. All right, so this is your Samba password. I'm just gonna keep it the same as the other one. And enter. Okay, you're done setting up.
Should I say that?
Nah, don't say that. Go back to the dashboard. Now hit Samba Hoster right here. Okay, now run that one. Okay, we need to put in our password again. Okay, folder name, this is gonna be the same one that you backed up to, so backups. There it is, there's your network drive. And in 1 minute, it should have something in it. Okay, the board is on GMT, so we have to do 9 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. Oops. And now we gotta wait 2 minutes. Had to modify the permissions, but it's right there. That's all we've got for this week. Head over to tryhexbox.com. You can join the waitlist and get weekly info on progress and be the first to know when HexBox is available for purchase. Thanks for watching. See you next week.